To solve this question, in this question has been asked there's 2 KClO3. First of all, the two equations are given. The one is the thermal decomposition of KClO3 and second is the reaction of carbon with the oxygen. Okay, and what the main question is asking you is to calculate the amount of KClO3 which on thermal decomposition gives X volume of O2, which is the volume required for the combustion of 24 gram of carbon. Okay, now let's understand this question. So they are asking is to calculate the amount of KClO3, okay, which on thermal decomposition will give you X volume of oxygen, okay, and this X volume of oxygen is nothing but the volume required for combustion of 24 gram of carbon. Okay, so let me tell you how to decode this type of question. So what do we have to do? First we have to calculate the, if we have 22.4 gram of carbon, 24 gram of carbon, then how many moles of oxygen would be required in order to completely combust this carbon. Okay, and that volume of oxygen would be received from this first reaction. Okay, and in order to generate that X volume of oxygen, how many moles or how many what weight of KClO3 would be required, that what we have to calculate. Okay, let's deep dive into this question and let's understand how do we solve it. Okay, so first of all we're gonna pick the second equation, which is combustion of carbon. So carbon with reacting with oxygen produces carbon dioxide. Okay, when carbon reacts with oxygen, it produces carbon dioxide. Okay, we write down the chemical equation. Now let's calculate the molecular weight. So carbon's weight is 12 gram, oxygen is 2 into 16 gonna be 32, and over here it would be 44 gram of carbon dioxide. Okay, perfect. Till now we have understood this question. Now we require the volume instead of weight. So as I mentioned always, 1 mole is equals to 22.4 liter. 1 mole is equals to 22.4 liter. That means here we have 1 mole of oxygen. That means we require 22.4 liter of oxygen. Now as in this question it says that we need the 24 gram of carbon. So what we're gonna do, so if we're gonna use the unitary method basically, so we're gonna say that if 12 gram of carbon requires 22.4 liter of oxygen, then 24 gram of carbon would require X volume of oxygen. Okay, so value of X would be equal to 22.4 into 24 divided by 12. So 12 2s are 24. So answer is gonna be 44.8 liter of oxygen would be required in order to completely combust the 24 gram of carbon. Now we found the value of X volume of oxygen. Okay, so now we need to go to the first equation, and here we need to calculate the amount of KClO3 required to generate 44.8 liter of oxygen. Okay, now it's very simple. Let's write down the balance chemical equation. KClO3 on heating it gives us KCl plus oxygen. If you want to balance, what are we gonna balance? 2 over here, 2 over here, and 3 over here. Now let's go for it. What is the molecular weight of KClO3? What is the molecular weight of KClO3? So it's gonna be again very simple. 2 into potassium is 39, chlorine is 35.5, and 16 3s is 48. So when you multiply all the number by 2, when you solve this all as this part, you get the answer 245 gram. So basically 245 gram of KClO3 gives you 3 into 22.4 liter of oxygen, which is nothing but 67.2 liter. Okay, why 3.3 into 22.4? Because as I mentioned, 1 mole is equals to 22.4 liter. 1 mole is equals to 22.4 liter. Therefore 3 moles would be equal to 3 into 22.4 liter, which is nothing but 67.2 liter. So if now let's use the unitary method. Simple. 245 gram of KClO3 is giving you 67.2 liter of oxygen. Then if I want the 44.8 liter of oxygen, how many gram of KClO3 would be required? So sir, X gram. So let's solve the value for X. So X would be equal to 245 into 44.8 divided by 67.2. which will give you answer is equal to 163.33. Answer will be equal to 163.33. So 163.33 gram of KClO3 would be required in order to produce the 44.8 liter of oxygen. Okay, 44.8 liter of oxygen. Now let's go through this question once again in order to understand it better. So there was two chemical equations were given. First was the thermal decomposition of KClO3 and second the combustion of carbon. Okay, and in this question they were asking us to calculate the amount of KClO3, but when the amount of KClO3 on thermal decomposition, it is giving you the X volume of oxygen, that particular volume of required for the combustion of 24 gram of carbon. So this volume, which is X, has to be equal to the amount of oxygen required in order to combust the 24 gram of carbon. Okay, so we use the first second chemical equation, and we calculate the how many volume of oxygen would be required in order to completely combust the 24 gram of carbon, and answer came out to be 44.8 liter. Then we use the first chemical equation and we saw that 245 gram of KClO3 is giving us 67.2 liter of oxygen. Then we used again the unitary method and we calculate that if 245 gram is giving you 67.2 liter, then X gram would give you 44.8 liter, and we solved the answer for the X and we got the answer is equal to 163.33 gram of KClO3 would be required in order to produce 44.8 liter of oxygen, which will completely combust the 24 gram of carbon. I hope you understood this question. If you have any doubt regarding any calculation, any chemical equation in this question, or you have any other doubt, then you can comment your doubt in the comment section and we'll solve your doubt by creating a separate video. Till then, keep on studying.